Okay, so the first book that I'm going to be crocheting a square for today is, well, they're both from the same series. So this one is called The Prize Arrival for the Cornish Midwife. So the Cornish Midwife is a set of books that I tend to listen to. They're sort of like my day off evening read or listen to, so that I've got something that's a little bit calming, something that's not too heavy going, and yeah, it's almost like, I want to say a naughty pleasure. It's just something a little bit easy and a little bit of escapism. And if I fall asleep and miss a bit, it's not the end of the world. So I'm working my way through all the Jo Bartlett series because I do find her a very good writer for these easy reads. So we followed a couple of the midwives already. So there's a group of 5 midwives that are all in Cornwall, and they run a unit in Cornwall all together. So each book is on a different midwife. So for the third one, which is this one, we meet Jess. This might not be the third book. Maybe this is the fourth. This is the fourth book. So we've already met 3 midwives. So this is the fourth book in the series, and we meet Jess. Jess is just coming out of her marriage. She is trying to navigate being on her own, and then a baby gets left on her doorstep. So that brings an awful lot of questions. Where did this baby come from? Whose baby is it? But there's a note on top that says that the person who left the baby knows that she will do a good job. And that's not necessarily just because she's a midwife. She's also a very caring person, can't have children of her own. So, this is her one chance. She's already qualified as a foster carer, which means that she can at least keep the baby for the moment while they try and find out who the mother is. They go through most of the patients at the unit to see if anyone may have given birth and just had a funny 5 minutes, had some postnatal depression, and just left the baby. But it turns out that it's completely random. So it takes a while to find out who the baby is. I'm not going to let on whose it is because, you might want to read it yourself. But, it did have quite a big twist in it, which I don't think, if I'd have really been thinking about it, I probably could have worked it out. But the joy of this is it's supposed to be simple, easy, easy listening. So I try not to do that. And luckily, all these Cornish midwife books are included on my Everend membership, which is really handy because that enables me to be able to listen to them. So, yeah, and then we find out more about Jess's past. This is what we find out about all the midwives, where they've been, where they're going, and, and how they live their lives. And it's just a nice little bit of, I want to say fluff, but it's romance. It's, it's just nice. It's nice village life, which is something that we're always, it'd be nice to look for. So with this square, as you can see from the book cover, which I'll share on the screen, the book cover is predominantly a darker colour. So it's blue, dark blue for the sky, and then obviously we've got a green for the grass, and then she's got a pink coat on, and then there's yellow, and the Cornish midwife is actually in yellow. So those are the colours that I've chosen. Those are the 4 colours I've chosen for this square. So I put a bit of blue in the middle, and then now I'm putting the green around the outside. So all of this yarn, even though I've said all this before, I'm going to say it again, all of this yarn came out of my stash. So the idea is I want to lower my stash so that I can fit a desk in the corner of my room where it's all piled at the moment, so that I can use it to, say, put my sewing machine on, things like that. So it's about making my space work better for me. So I'm on a voyage of using up yarn, and one way I'm doing it is by making this book blanket. So the idea of each of these squares is that it's a reminder of, and it's related to the colours that are on the cover. So when they say don't judge a book by its cover, I'm finding that looking back on this, I'm probably now judging books by their cover because I want to use up the yarn that's in my box. But the idea is that I still find books that I would have read anyway. I'm not going to read anything that I know I'm going to hate just because it has a certain colour of cover. So, yeah. So those are the colours that I've chosen. So this square is a little bit of a darker square. When I get to the other end, I'm not going to put them all in order, because if I end up reading a fantasy trilogy, all the squares are probably going to be predominantly black, and I don't want all that black together. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to block them and save them, and then crochet them all together round the edge at the end. But Jo Bartlett in general, so I've kind of really got into Jo Bartlett. I read one of her standalones quite a while ago, and then I found the Cornish Midwife series, which I've been listening to. She also does the County Hospital book sets as well. So with those ones, I'm reading those ones as well, or listening to them, because they're all on Everend as well. But the hospital ones are a little bit like Grey's Anatomy, which is quite refreshing, and they are a little bit. It's still very villagey. That's one thing I love about Jo Bartlett's books, is they're all very village-like. So they've all got that bit behind them where, you know, the small village aspect of them. So, yeah, to be honest, I'm hoping, I mean, the Cornish Midwife series is done, I think. I think she's finished that one. But the County Hospital ones, I think, are going to be happening for a little while longer. I know I've listened to book 1. And there's another, I think there's 4 in the series already, with the fourth one's about to come out this year. So that one's still going, which I'm quite happy about, because sometimes you just need a little bit of fluff in your life. So although this square's quite dark, it is quite bright as well, which is what I'm trying to have a contrast of, because ideally I want my blanket to be as colourful as possible, you know, and show as much of what I'm doing as possible, as well as using up the yarn, which is not my, you know, which is obviously the idea of the exercise, but I kind of want to have a beautiful blanket at the other end. So the way these videos are going to work is I'm going to be doing 2 books. I've worked out 2 book reviews or squares a week seems to work. So I'll be doing 2 books in this one, and then 2 books each one, and then these videos will come out on a Monday, and then you'll get another video on the usual Wednesday, Friday for me. I've not been very good in January. I will endeavour to get better as the year progresses. It's just been really busy, but that's the plan, is that the book squares will be done on a Monday, and then there'll be another video, whether it be a journaling video or the other part of the book blanket where I document how many pages and hours that I've listened to audiobooks, will be on the other ones. So there's plenty to see. If you haven't already and you're liking what you see, then please feel free to like, subscribe, do all the YouTubey things, because it would be lovely to have you joining me on the journey. If you've been here before and you're back again, thank you for coming back. It's a delight to have you as well. So yeah, that's the Cornish Midwife. Well, the 4th instalment of the Cornish Midwife. So a surprise arrival for the Cornish Midwife. Okay, so the second book of the year, which ironically is also Cornish Midwife's book, I promise that January it will not all be the same. it will differ as we go along. Just the first 2 books while I was off on annual leave at the beginning of January were just easy reading books. So the second one is also the Cornish Midwife, and this one is called A Leap of Faith for the Cornish Midwife. So it's quite interesting in all these books where you have the midwifery part and you have the villagey part, but everyone also has, I won't say their own struggle, they have their own thing that they're dealing with. So in the last one, Jess was dealing with fostering this child and what was going on in her personal life. This book focuses on Izzy, who's also a midwife. She's quite young, she's very new to midwifery, and she lives not in the village, but she lives just outside the village with her grandparents because her mother abandoned her at birth. So she's always lived with her grandparents, that's what she's always known, and they've decided to move to the village to into a boat, a houseboat, so that they can be close to her while she works, and then they can work out whether they want to live in the village or whether they want to move. So they're borrowing this boat. They've rented the boat, and Izzy also meets the locum vicar called Noah, and he's really supportive as she finds out that her grandmother is unfortunately dying. And at the moment, they were the only family she ever knows. She knows who her mum is, obviously, but they're not very close. They're not, to be honest, the way she sees it is her mum is only there when she wants something. So they don't get on particularly well. And most of what they see is on Facebook or other social media. And it just doesn't work. The vicar's also having doubts about his faith because he's brought up in a family where they're all in the faith, so they're all Christian people, ministers in some way or fashion. And it's really interesting how, as the book goes on, there are twists and turns along the way. As I say, I'm really trying not to let on what happens near the end, but it's interesting to see how you can have, on the outside you can show that you've got the biggest life ever, and then literally on the inside it's a completely different story, and it changes absolutely everything to a point where you don't think you even know the person who's there anymore. And it's how everyone deals with the aftermath of what's happened, and it's how everyone deals with life, particularly after somebody passes away. So it sounds quite deep, but it's really lovely the way that the author has dealt with these kinds of topics, all in the same book. And as I say, I love Jo Bartlett. I could be forever singing her praises, but yeah. So that was Leap of Faith for the Cornish Midwife.